Welcome to the Fabric Podcast, where we explore company culture and how it scales as a company grows. Brought to you by the team at The Receptionist, a bootstrapped, Denver-based software company. Each episode of Fabric will set out to uncover unique and uncommon answers to the question, how do companies of any size create a culture and core values that employees actually live out? On this episode of the Fabric Podcast, we're joined by Mitchell Cote-Sawyer from the coworking and flex office space in downtown Los Angeles, Wilshire1001. They opened on March 1st, 2020. Yep, less than 2.5 weeks before the lockdown due to COVID-19. Thankfully, Wilshire1001 was deemed an essential business with their virtual mail delivery and in-house construction crew. And Mitchell shares what it's been like to open and run a business during this time. Mitchell wears a lot of hats, including director of marketing, barista, and front desk staff. So when he tried out The Receptionist, he was thrilled. Not only does it allow him to leave the front desk as needed and serve his clients well, but they're also using our contactless check-in feature, which has been very well received when people want to touch as little as possible these days. Enjoy the episode. Mitchell, I'm so excited to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited as well.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about Wilshire1001.
So we are a new co-working and flex office space that opened March 1st of this year. So you could say perfect timing for the world we live in now.
Oh my goodness. We're going to get into that. But tell me, so for our listeners, what's the difference between co-working and flex office? Because I feel like we hear co-working a lot, but flex office, maybe not as much.
So flex office is kind of the slang, the word terminology that they're going to start using for co-working spaces now due to the whole COVID-19 and the pandemic. It's essentially the same thing. Flex office is, it's not your everyday, your typical office space. We have co-working lounges. You don't have that standard, typical 9 to 5 kind of office. It's, come and go as you want. Anybody who has an office here does have 24/7 access. So it's just not your standard, typical office.
Got it. And
traditional as you office, said, I should say.
Yeah. And as you said, you opened March 1st, 2020, which, so everyone listening is like, oh my goodness, what a horrible time to start a place like this where you're based on people coming in to your space. So what was it like to launch a new business and then just see the world shut down around you?
It's frustrating. I started beginning of February, but I know that the owners, our construction crew, and the rest of the team worked diligently for 6 months to open the space for an early spring opening. Worked very hard. Everybody, was just here 24/7, getting everything ready and just completely renovating the entire space. And then March 1st, we opened, and 2.5 weeks later, LA goes on a lockdown. And 6-7 months later, here we are, still in a lockdown.
I know. Well, and especially in California, I mean, we've had some really strict guidelines coming out of California. So I can imagine that hit the company really hard.
Yeah. I mean, we were fortunate enough to be, we started a virtual mail program. So we actually are an essential business. We also have an in-house construction and maintenance crew. So we were able to be open during the lockdown. But, as that goes, we are very limited of people, coming in and out and giving tours and, generating leads and things like that. But, we are lucky enough to still be open.
Yeah, definitely. So it's great that you were deemed an essential business during all of this. So share with us a little bit more some of the challenges of trying to you were open, but I mean, you were launching this business, especially this type of space, flex office, during this time. What's been most difficult, do you think?
It's really just been generating leads, trying to get people into this space. Everybody who's been here, who's taken a tour before before the lockdown, we had a good 2 to 3 weeks before we actually had to go on a lockdown citywide. So, we were able to get a lot of people in here. But the space is beautiful. I mean, they worked very hard to create a great, organic, beautiful space. And it's just been a little difficult to get people to come in and just really see the space. So that's one of the most frustrating things. And I was brought in to really be the community programs director to generate a lot of leads, and also to create really cool, unique events. And we created a whole list of events and a calendar of events that we were going to plan on doing over the course of the next 4 to 5 months, which obviously have been put on hold.
Yeah. So as we're in now sort of the 6th month of this lockdown, who is able to use your facility? I know you mentioned virtual mail, but what goes on in your space day to day?
I mean, we do have a few members who signed on. We actually had two members who signed up, two office members that signed up before we even opened, which was great. And then we were able to get some co-working memberships and stuff like that. So on an average day, we have about 6 to 10 people coming in and out of this space, and we have we work with like Desk Pass and Croissant and these other like third-party platforms that people can sign up for and utilize our space, day at a time. So we've had people come in and out, and like I said, that's been great. But the thing is, the frustration comes with people aren't actively looking for any office space right now. Due to kind of figure out what the how everything unfolds and things like that. But it's virtual mail has been really busy. We generate a lot of leads like that, and we had to create the platforms for that. So that was time consuming as well. So it's just kind of a little bit of everything right now, especially since I am the only one here on a full-time basis. So I'm kind of running around everywhere.
Yeah, that leads me to my next question. What's that like being really the only staff person there day to day? What is your day like?
Sometimes it's lonely.
I
I'm
bet.
always busy, but sometimes our members come and go. We're open 9 to 6 for our members, or the office members have 24-hour access, so they're never really here. From the time I come in to the time I close. So there's times where I'm the only one in this space. We do have two big two big companies, second and third floor in our building, that occupy the entire floors. That's not actually a part of Wilshire1001. They are our parent company, because we own the building. We're partnered with Property ID, which is a big real estate company. So like their sister company. So there's people upstairs that I can interact with and stuff. But on a day-to-day basis down here at this space, it's been a lot of running around. Sometimes I'm the barista. I am the mail delivery person. I am the social media content writer, blog writer. Wear many hats, which is it's kind of nice. So it's never a dull
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, I think a lot of our listeners who are involved in a startup, especially, can really relate to that idea of wearing a lot of hats, especially in the beginning. So I'm wondering, of the people who are there using your space, are these people who they would have been in an office normally and now are working from home and are choosing to use a flex space, or are these people who were maybe working remotely already?
They are startups. I mean, we opened Wilshire1001 for the purpose of kind of being a platform for startup companies and entrepreneurs. I mean, like most co-working spaces,
Hmm.
we want to, be a space for entrepreneurs, influencers, creative types that wouldn't typically have your standard office space. So all of our members are all entrepreneurs, or just started their own companies. And I think even before COVID, I think they would have worked out of a co-working space.
Well, it's great that they have this option that was able to remain open and active during such a really unpredictable and unprecedented time. So while I'm sure no one is thrilled that this happened, and certainly
Yeah.
no new business is thrilled at the timing of this, it sounds like you all have been able to really do a good job of staying open and bringing some people in. So that's great.
Yeah, like I said, we still have a team. Like I said, I'm going full time, but we still have a team. And our team members are fantastic. So they worked really hard to really make sure we're busy and that we are sustaining our ability to be open. We own the building, so it's good to not have to worry about rent relief and things like that. So given that it's a tough time, we're very fortunate enough to not have to worry about paying rent since we own the building.
Yeah, that's great. Now, you mentioned being busy and that you're the only one there. And when you were talking to Michael, our director of marketing, you shared that the receptionist for iPad has kind of been like your own personal assistant. Can you share a little bit more with our listeners what you meant by that?
Yeah. When I was talking to Michael, I mentioned that, and he's like, "Well, I need to get you on our podcast then because I want you to explain this more."
Yeah.
Obviously, like I've said, I'm really the only one here on a full time basis. And when you walk into our space, the first thing you see is that iPad that has a receptionist. And I am not always right at reception. I try to be. If I know someone's coming in, Obviously, I try to be there to just check them in, and see if they have any questions or anything like that before they get their day started. But there's a lot of times where I'm running around, or I'm on a video call, or in a meeting. So there's times where a lot of times throughout the day where I'm not right there at reception to be able to check people in. So that has actually been able to allow me to know when somebody arrives, so I can kind of drop what I'm doing, or if I'm wrapping up a call, I can try to wrap it up a little quicker and be there to greet the client or the member or the guest who's coming into the space. So that's been very helpful, because it notifies me. I get a text message saying that someone checked in or someone's arrived on the iPad. I can go there to greet them.
Yeah, we love that's able to help you. And we've always said, the receptionist for iPad isn't meant to replace your front desk person. It's really meant to augment and supplement and make it easier for the visitors who are coming to your space. So how did you sort of end up using it in this way to really help you? Did that evolve, or did you realize really quickly, I need it to do this, and thank goodness that it does?
A little bit of everything you just said. This is our third month, I believe, using a receptionist. And for the first couple of months when I was just by myself, I was kind of running back and forth to check to see if anybody was coming into the space. And this kind of allowed me to have a little bit more freedom and flexibility. With not being right there, if somebody comes in, I get notified, and like I said, I instantly try to be there with them. But I was kind of realizing, I've heard of the receptionist. I mean, I feel like it's a very well-known, respectable technology, and something that's used in a lot of different spaces, all over the world. So, I was vaguely familiar with it. I knew what it did. But then they offered me a free trial, and then after like 2 weeks, I was just like, I love this. I need it. It helps me, and it doesn't really replace people as a receptionist, but for me, it does. It
Yeah.
replaces me being there at the reception desk all the time. And it's actually more valuable, honestly, than I thought it would be, to be honest.
Well, good. Well, we're glad to hear that, because that's the idea, is that it's meant to help the person who's there. Sometimes it does replace them, but it really doesn't. It doesn't have to, because we love the people too, and we love for you to be
Yeah.
able to be there and greet your visitors when you can, and support you when you can. And now I know you're also using our new contactless check-in function. How has that been implemented in your space?
Like I mentioned earlier, the iPad with the receptionist is located right at the front of the space. You can't miss it when you walk in, and 95% of the people that come into our space know what co-working spaces are like. So they know to go check in. And the thing I love about the contactless, obviously, with everything that's going on in the world right now, the less things you have to touch, the better. The funny thing is we have a few older people, some members who aren't technologically savvy.
Yeah.
And when they walk up to it, they kind of have a very confused look on their face, because they're not used to just scanning a QR code to sign into something, to log in your information. But generally speaking, it's great. Obviously, a lot of the younger people, the entrepreneurs, and just generally speaking, the younger generation, know how to use technology, and it's they just scan it and then go sit down at their desk and sign in, instead of typing and writing and all that into the iPad. But it's been entertaining for me when I'm actually there and I see some of our older members come in. They look at it and they're like, "What?" And they really have this confused look on their face, like, "This is way too advanced."
Yeah, well, that was going to be my question, because you're the first customer we've had on that is utilizing this feature. So we were wondering, how has it been received by your visitors? And it sounds like
Yeah,
maybe
there's
a little confusion along the way, and some like, okay, cool, I got this.
yeah. I mean, most people, 90% of the people that come into our space, just like I said, scan their phone and sign in right to their mobile phone without touching anything. And as I mentioned, the less things you have to touch nowadays, the better. Kind of gives them the peace of mind to it's obviously our space is very clean. We have an in-house janitorial staff and maintenance staff that disinfects and deep cleans the space throughout the day. But just knowing that you don't have to touch something, whether the space is clean or not, it just kind of gives you a peace of mind. So like that it's not millions of people have been touching it and all that stuff. So it's been great, and it's been very helpful. And obviously, as soon as you walk up to it, the QR code pops up, and just easily scan your phone and sign in. So it's been helpful, and it's very
Good.
straightforward.
Yeah, well, and I think once you use it and you realize what you're meant to do, it becomes easier and well
Yeah.
received. So that's great. We love hearing how it's working for you. So what, with us still being in the middle of this pandemic, it feels, I'm sure there will be an end. We don't know where that is, but given
There
we are,
better be.
there better be. Oh my gosh! But given that we're still in it, What do you feel is sort of next for Wilshire 1001 in terms of continuing to grow and serve your customers well? Like, what are you guys working on?
You know, before I started, I had about a month before the lockdown came. So, we were creating a plan for, all these events we want to do. We have a beautiful space. We have an incredible rooftop. So, we have a great space to put on some really unique, cool events. And that's just the thing. It's just really showing people what, Wilshire 1001 can do. We're a beautiful event space. We're a co-working space. We're a platform for startups, entrepreneurs, all that. And it's just really about, letting people know that we're full of great ideas. We have a great, beautiful space that you need to come look at. And members or non-members, when we start doing these events, we just want to, build our community. We're in a great location in downtown LA. So, there's a lot of potential here. And it's just about fulfilling that potential when, the lockdown ends.
Yeah. And it will. It has to end at some point, right?
It definitely
We're going to think positive.
Another month or 2 or 3. I mean, it's going to end eventually. So we'll be ready.
Yeah.
Whenever it does.
At some point down the road, someone's going to listen to this episode and they'll be like, it's over. We did it. We got through it. So as we wrap up this episode today, do you have any final thoughts for businesses as they continue to serve to aim their customers well in this new normal? Because obviously you all are doing it really well. So any tips for businesses?
I mean, the thing is, it's just hang in there. There's really nothing you can do. There's nothing you did wrong. There's times where it's frustrating and you kind of get that feel of like, where did I go wrong? You kind of feel like you failed a little bit, but you didn't. The whole world is going through this and it sucks. But, it's obviously it's going to end. And when it does, just, the best thing you can do right now in the downtime is focus on yourself, and improve your business. Then when it's over, you're ready to go.
Yeah, I love that. Just keep, like you said, hang in there, just keep going. We will reach the end at some point or when things get back to a little bit more normal. And then, you want to be ready for it. So Mitchell, thank you so much. It was great to hear about what you're up to at Wilshire 1001, how you're using the Receptionist for iPad, and all of the great things that you're doing for your clients. So thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you. And thanks to the Receptionist. I mean, honestly, it's been a lifesaver. It's been very helpful. So I'm very happy.
Good. We like to hear that. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Big thanks to Mitchell Cote-Sawyer from Wilshire 1001 for joining us on the episode. We're so excited that he tried us out for 2 weeks and loved us enough to stick around. If you'd like a 2-week free trial, no credit card required, visit us at thereceptionist.com.